Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kevin Plays Disc Golf. Today we have a playthrough and course review from the 9-hole course at Marlboro Elementary School in Guilford, Vermont. My name is Kevin, and I play disc golf. Filming on course for this video was done on May 26, 2025. The course originally opened in 2019. The school is immediately off Route 9. Frankly, the school is kind of in the middle of a stretch of Route 9 where the school is the most prominent landmark for several miles in either direction. There is a well-marked school zone with reduced speed limits from both directions. Though it is a small elementary school, it's difficult to miss. The school is not open during school hours. As this is on school property, alcohol and tobacco are not allowed. Though there was some undergrowth on hole 4 and some muddy areas on holes 3 and 6, I would only see the undergrowth on hole 4 causing any issue later in the year. Most of the course is on well-maintained and used areas of the school. There is only one course configuration. Trash is carry in, carry out. Bathrooms are not available. It is unclear whether or not dogs are allowed, but I would suspect not. This is technically a multi-use facility. However, over the 1.5 hours I was there, I did not see anyone else on the property. There are a couple of areas where you may see other people, but even then the disc golf course is largely separate from the main play areas. Now we'll go to the parking lot of the Marlboro Elementary School just off Route 9. I'll have my overall review of the course at the end of the video. Be sure to post your comments as to your thoughts of what looks fun and where you think the problem areas are.
Here we are at the Marlboro School. This is immediately off Route 9. As you can see, there is Route 9 right there. We have a little fenced-in area, and this is well marked as a school zone coming from both directions. Where we want to park is somewhere over in the area of the basketball courts over there. And to get from the parking lot to the first tee, we go right over here towards the basketball courts by this tree, between this little paved walkway and the tree, going for the utility pole. You can see right in front of us we have the first tee. There do not appear to be any tee signs here, however the pads are fairly well defined. Hole 1 is a 201-foot par 3, slightly downhill. That utility pole is directly in the way, so you kind of have to pick a direction and go around. We don't want to go too far because it appears that the shrubs and forest and there's woods just behind the basket, and it does look like it drops down significantly behind the basket. There's also a bit of a tailwind off the first tee, so I'd rather be short than long here. Though the ground does drop away behind the basket, there's about 25 feet before you get to the shrubbery, and the shrubbery there is not that dense. You really have to go 60 or 70 feet long to get into the real thick stuff where you'd have to worry about losing a disc. So let's see if I can make a putt for birdie. And tap in for 3. One thing to note about these baskets, that this one anyway has a nice arrow pointing towards the next tee on it. This one's actually welded onto the basket itself, so that's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So to get from the basket of 1 to the tee of 2, you can see we have the school building in the background, sort of looking back in the general direction of the tee. If we follow the arrow, we take a right, and we go past this clump of bushes, and here we are at the tee mat for hole 2. UDisc lists hole 2 as a 165-foot par 3. Straight ahead, obviously we want to try and avoid hitting the buildings, but there's not a whole lot of danger around the green. We have a little side slope and a small putt, and there are woods to the right, but those woods are not very dense. So let's see what we can do from here. That looked like it curled right around the basket, so I should have a very makeable birdie putt from there. POV drop in for birdie. All right, first birdie of the day. There we go. Now to get to hole 3, a couple things to note here. We have the arrow on the basket that's pointing towards our left. That's kind of the direction we start. If we turn directly to our left, we have a basket right in front of us. This is the basket for hole 7. And if we take a right at this basket, we can see we have a tee pad over here along this little set of rocks. And here on the tree, we do have a temporary tee sign saying that this is hole 3 for a 208-foot par 3. Hole 3 is a 208-foot par 3, mostly straight away. There is a slight dogleg right at the end. We can see the basket from the tee, but the top of the basket is obstructed by a branch from right here, but we can see the bottom half of the basket. The basket is just in front of those 2 trees before the construction equipment off in the distance. So this is a fairly narrow gap here, and I believe this is the longest hole on the course. We do have a fairly narrow gap here that we need to try and get through. You cannot see it because this tree is in the way, but there is a small shack and picnic basket to the left of the fairway, and I believe I am right under the picnic basket. Another thing to note here from the tee of hole 3 is if we look just to our left of this tree and down, there is another tee there. I'm not sure what tee that is, but we will get there eventually. Here is the little shed or lean-to, and if we scroll to our right, we can see the basket and the picnic bench, and my disc skirted out just past the picnic bench. So let's see if I can make a birdie putt from here through the trees. And we will take our 3 there. At the basket of 3, it does look like there is a property boundary along that rock wall. I would treat everything past that rock wall as out of bounds, though it is going to be a little bit difficult to get there. Now to get to the basket of 4, we can follow the arrow to our left, go past, back past the lean-to and picnic bench from where I putted from, take a left, go over this little sand box area here, and just in front of this we have the tee for hole 4. Hole 4 is a 136-foot par 3. There are out-of-bounds stakes on the right that are fairly close. They are probably only 15 feet off a center line from the tee to the basket to the right. So we do not want to miss right here. There is a no trespassing sign right next to the tee as well. So it's a lot better to be left on this than right. This hole is also significantly downhill, and there is a bit of a gully that you go down and back up before you get to the basket. That's way off to the left, but I am inbounds there. Here we are at the fairway of 4, and we can see the white stakes along the right edge of the fairway in front of the no trespassing sign. They're about 10 feet apart, pretty much the entire distance up to the basket. I ended up deep in the trees on my second shot, so I had to chip out for 3. I've got about a 25-foot putt for 3 from here. The camera's on top of the basket, so let's see how this works out. That worked out not so well. We took our bogey 4 there. To get from the basket of 4 to the tee for 5, we want to take a right and go back up the hill as we're looking back at the tee. The tee for hole 5 is the tee that we could see from the tee of hole 3. So if we go up this hill a little bit, and there's a little bit of a trail, but even so, it's not that bad to follow. And come up here. And here we are at the tee pad for hole 5. Hole 5 is a 182-foot par 3, straight ahead. It does look like there's a bit of an elevated basket here. The basket is straight away between all the pine trees. Left to right is probably the better option for me, playing right hand forehand. So we'll see what we can do from here. Miss it. Did not miss it. Here we have a little bit better view of the basket. I'm not too far in front of us. We are just behind this tree that I hit. So we'll see if I can get this close on my second shot. That will be an easy 3 from there. Here we can see the basket on top of the rock. The rock is probably 3 feet off the base of the ground, so this is a mini introduction to an elevated basket. Let's see if I can get my POV drop in for 3. There we go. So if we go up here on the basket and sort of look down, we do have the marker pointing towards our left with the tee at our back. And we can follow this around. And just over here on the other side of this rock, we have the tee pad for hole 6. Hole 6 is a 146-foot par 3, dogleg left, so the fairway does go right to left following the creek. You can see the basket from the tee, but there are a couple bushes straight in the way to get there. So going right to left is kind of the better option for getting to the basket. This is slightly uphill, and the river or creek is not marked as out of bounds, so play it where it lies. Well, I hit the one branch I didn't see, and I hit the tree that I was aiming for. Even with the tree hit, I do have a makeable putt for birdie from here, albeit a long one. That will be another drop in for 3 from there. Once you get up to the green from here, it does sort of open out. There are a couple trees you have to miss, but it is pretty open if you can make it up past the last part of the creek. So we can walk up here, have our POV drop in for 3. And we can see that there is an arrow there pointing towards the next tee. If we look up to our left, there's also a arrow pointing towards the next tee. If we look further to our left, we can see another arrow on the tree for the next, and we can see the tee pad just through that tree gap, over these 2 small bridges, and here we are at the tee for hole 7. Hole 7 is a 195-foot par 3, straight ahead, uphill. There is a bit of a narrow gap here, so we want to make sure not to go too far either left or right or end up in the brush or trees. I think that's going to be a drop in for a birdie from there. All right, I did end up about 10 feet from the basket. It's going to be a straddle out from behind a tree a little bit, but this should be a birdie. Hooray, that gets me back under par for the round. To get from the basket of hole 7 to the tee for hole 8, here we can see the arrow pointing towards the building, kind of up through the trees there. We look at the building in the background. If we go a little bit right back towards the tee for hole 7, there's a smaller pathway here. This gets us out of the target zone for hole 2, in case there happens to be anybody else playing. And we want to go up the building through this path towards the road. And the tee is on the opposite side of this shack here. We can see the next tee sign there, and we can take this little path next to the shack, and just on the other side we have the tee pad for hole 8. U-disc lists hole 8 as a 124-foot par 3, dogleg right. You cannot see the basket from the tee. We're actually on the swing set next to the tee, and if we look off in the distance through the largest tree out that's pointing straight ahead, to the right of that largest tree off in the distance, we can see the basket through the trees. Now right now we can see it. When the leaves start to grow in a little bit further, it will probably be more difficult. I think that hit the ground right near the base of the basket. We'll see when we get up there. Well, I did end up a little bit short of the basket, but I've still got about a 15-foot putt for birdie. So let's see what I can do here. Hooray, my third birdie of the round. Looking back at the direction of the tee from the basket of hole 8, we can see the arrow is pointed directly at us. So if we're playing the tee, we want to go right past the basket. So if we turn around, we can see another next tee sign up on that tree, and continue around, and here we have the tee pad for hole 9. Hole 9 is a 93-foot par 3, dogleg left, significantly uphill. I think just like hole 8, hole 9 is going to play a little bit longer than the distance it lists on the tee sign and on U-disc. From here, we are just off the left edge of the tee. We can see the basket if we go straight through this set of trees just to the left of the dead tree immediately off the tee. However, the main gap is going to be to go further right and then move the disc right to left back to the basket. That was a very favorable tree kick. I think I'm right under the basket for possibility at another birdie. That definitely was going to be long if it hadn't hit that tree, but as it stands now, I've got about a 15-foot putt for birdie. Hooray! 3 birdies in a row to end the round. That's a good way to do it. To get from the basket of 9 back to the parking lot, you can see up in the distance we have Route 9 immediately in the background. So if we take a left, we have these 2 dumpsters in this small parking lot down here. I guess conceivably you could park down here to start the round to have yourself a shorter walk back at the end. But from here, what we are going to want to do is follow the road up to Route 9. And just at the top of this hill in the parking lot, we have the main parking lot from where we started, and we can see where we parked on the other side of the building. And if we want to play another 9-hole round, we're going to be walking right past the tee of hole 1. One other thing to note is, even if it's not during school hours, you probably don't want to park near the building itself, either in that lower parking lot or up here where I'm parked. is going to be the better option. And we turn to our left, we can see the hole 1 basket and tee. And here we are back at the parking lot.
There are a few places where the tees or baskets are not in the exact location that they appear to be on UDisc. Additionally, it does look like the course may be in the process of moving the tee and fairway for hole 4 to a tree alley left of where the current tee is in order to provide extra distance to the property line. The thumbnail for this course is from the fairway of hole 6. I think this is the most picturesque hole on the course, with the small creek weaving its way down the fairway. Hole 6 is also my favorite hole on this course, as I think it does an excellent job of introducing several concepts of disc golf on a beginner course with no danger of losing a disc. My least favorite hole on this course is hole 4. This is due primarily to the pinched in out of bounds on the right of the fairway due to the property line, though the ferns on the fairway don't help either, as it makes it more difficult than it should be to find discs in the middle of the fairway. It does look like this may be being addressed though, and moving the tee box and fairway to the next gap of trees to the left would fix both of these issues and make for a more enjoyable hole. The first and last holes are critical for introducing the course and leaving the last impression at the end of the round. Hole 1 gives a good introduction with some distance confidence added of it being slightly downhill. There is also the utility pole in the middle of the fairway, which can be treated as a mando on either side to add some variance to the hole or to keep the throw out of the basketball court. Hole 9 is fine to end the course on, though it isn't anything special. I think that it would be an improvement to move the tee pad back, as it is currently the shortest hole on the course, and moving it back another 30 to 50 feet would still be in a good hole length range for this course. It isn't anything extraordinary that makes me want to play the course again, but it certainly wouldn't keep me from playing another 9-hole round here either. Course navigation is quite easy here, with the exception of going from the basket of hole 7 to the tee of hole 8, which is further complicated by the fact that the tee location of hole 8 does not match that on UDisc, and maybe going from the basket of hole 2 to the tee for hole 3. Everywhere else on this course, the arrows on the baskets make it easy to find the next tee pad. You can see all of the baskets from the tee, or at least within a few feet of the tee. Navigating this course is like sweeping your kitchen floor. For the most part, it's easy to accomplish the goal, but there's 1 or 2 spots, usually by the fridge, stove, or dishwasher, that are just difficult enough to sweep up that makes that small section particularly annoying. The course here is extremely safe for discs. Aside from getting lost in the weeds in the OB right of hole 4, there isn't really anywhere else to lose a disc here. This is another reason for me to pile on to my dislike of hole 4 as it currently is. The tee pads are not the best, for the most part being turf placed on the ground with little or no prep work underneath in most cases. That said, they are all well defined, and with the longest hole being only 208 feet, I don't think that significant upgrades to the tees are really needed here. The tee signs are probably my single biggest gripe with this course. For the holes that had tee signs, they were laminated printouts from UDisc of the hole. This would be fine in some cases, but UDisc is not completely accurate here. The tee pads for holes 1, 4, 6, 8, and 9 are off some, as are the baskets for hole 3 and I believe 6. This leads to inaccurate hole distances, and although the first part of the course didn't seem to be far enough off to affect my round, holes 8 and 9 in particular seem to play 30-ish feet longer than the UDisc distances of 124 and 93 feet. The baskets are all disc golf park baskets with yellow banding and are in excellent condition. These are all easy to see, and they all have the next tee arrow welded onto the bottom of the basket. There's nothing to complain about here. As this course is on the grounds of Marlboro Elementary School, Captain Obvious agrees that the targeted audience is, as well as it should be, elementary school students who are just getting started in disc golf. This course does a very good job of catering to its target audience. The holes are short, but there are several different shot shapes that are needed. There's some mild elevation, obstacles that are not just trees, but the creek on hole 6 as well, and is a good place for kids to learn the sport without it becoming overly frustrating. As long as you come here with the expectation of this being a place to practice your short game, you won't be disappointed. My overall course rating is that I would be willing to drive 1 hour to play this course for the first time and 1/2 hour to play this course again. I've not played the courses at Nasuta Hills or Halifax School, but I have played 3 other nearby courses at Memorial Park, Twin Valley Elementary School, and Horace Hill Park, videos coming soon, and this is the best beginner course of the 4 I have played by a significant margin. If you're looking for a nearby challenging course that you need to use all of your shots for, I'd recommend going to Memorial Park, but for short game practice or introducing new players, this is the one to go to. It's unlikely that I will play this course again, though that has much more to do with the distance I live from the course than the quality of the course as a place to start out playing disc golf. Like, share, and subscribe. Do your best to avoid the Marlboro on hole 4, and check out my other video linked here or the playlist of my disc golf courses of Vermont and New Hampshire linked in the description.